Prepaid expenses, prepaid expenses. Expenses already paid for next year. We already pay for next year. This is an asset because somebody owes us a service. We already pay for a month for the next year. We didn't receive the service yet, so that means that it's a prepaid expense. That is an asset for the business. 4,800 rand in advance was paid for the insurance contract of the financial year. Okay, they also gave us the total amount they paid for an insurance contract on the 1st of November. We paid on the 1st of November. In your insurance on the last day of the year, you only see the total of 7,200 that you paid. You only see this. The financial year ends on the 28th of February and we paid for an annual contract. Can you see there? Okay, so what happens if I take out that 4,800 rand? That means that what are you going to do first? What are you going to do first? You are going to take the 7,200 rand. You are going to divide it by 12 because it's an annual contract. If it was a 6-month contract, then you're going to divide it by 6. If it was a 4-month contract, then you're going to divide it by 4. 7,200 divided by 12 gives you 600 rand per month. This is the first thing that you do. The second thing that you must do is you count your months. November, December, January, February include in the year. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So there's 4 months included there, and there's 8 months that we paid in advance. Times 8, not times 4, times 8 gives you the 4,800 rand. The 4,800 rand that was given. But if they don't give it to you, then you must work it out yourself. And that's the way that you did it. You first divided by 12 because it was an annual contract. Then you've got the amount per month. Then you count the months included. That was 4. Excluded was 8. Are you going to add or subtract? We are going to subtract. Because we paid in advance. We already paid for 8 months in the future. Last of the year. February 28. Prepaid expenses. GJ, and you take out 4,800 rand of that 7,200 was meant for next year. 2019, February 28. Insurance. GJ, 4,800 rand. What is this for the business? This is an asset because somebody owes you the service. You already pay for the service. You already pay for insurance for the forthcoming 8 months. And so they owe you the service. So this one is going to close off to profit and loss. 7,200 minus the 4,800. And that 2,400 was the real insurance amount for this financial year. That was the real insurance amount for this financial year. There's less insurance. Less expenses gives you a plus there. Prepaid expenses in assets, so it's a plus there. Prepaid expenses become more. Okay, and this is also one of the temporary accounts that we must do a reversal entry in the next financial year. Accrued expenses. Why is it accrued expense? Because it's a liability, because it's money owed by the business. If we don't pay in full this year, then it means that we owe money to somebody. Expenses for this year, not paid yet. This is a normal creditor because we owe them money. The rent expense for January and February, the last 2 months of the financial year, was not paid yet, and that gives you 4,400 rand. The total rent expense amount added up to 22,000 rand. 22,000 rand, and that we are going to put on the debit side there. 2019, February 28, total there, brought down 22,000 rand. They gave us the amount of 4,400, but what if they didn't give it to us? What if they didn't give it to us? They mentioned that the rent expense for January and February, the last 2 months of the year, was not paid yet. So you're going to take this amount and you divided it by 10. Why 10? Because without January and February, there was only 10 months in your financial year, or only 10 months that we paid for. Divided by 10 gives you 2,200 rand times the 2 months. Times the 2 months gives you 2,200 rand per month times the 2 months, and that gives you the 4,400 that was given to you. Are we going to add or subtract? We are going to add. Why are we going to add? Because we only pay for 10 months and we are supposed to pay for 12 months. So of course we're going to add. You add the 4,400 there for accrued expenses. You put it on this side, 2019, February 28, rent expense. Rent expense, this is a liability for the business because we owe money. We didn't pay all our rent, so we owe money, and this one will go to the profit and loss account, end of the year, profit and loss account in the GJ as 22,000 as 26,400. 26,400, 26,400, and that gives you rent for 12 months. That gives you rent for 12 months. Accounting equation. Accounting equation. We've got more rent expense. More rent expense. More expenses, less owner's equity, and we've got more liabilities. Accrued expenses becomes more liabilities, more rent expense, that gives you less owner's equity. Remember about the equal there, there's a zero there on your calculator. Plus 4,400 minus 4,400 gives you 0. And this is our last temporary account that we must do a reversal entry tomorrow morning. Now we've got a few left. Provision for bad debts. This is an expense for the business, where the provision for bad debts is an expense for the business. The debtors owe us 25,600. On the debit side of the debtors, 2019, February the 28th, there's a balance there. Sorry. There's a balance there brought down of 25,600. This debtors control is an asset for the business. Provision for bad debts. Provision for bad debts is a negative asset. That means that you basically assume that a few of your debtors is not going to pay you. Balance, brought down, and that is at this moment 840 Rand. The adjustment is provision for bad debt should be adjusted to 4% of your outstanding debtors. Now you take the 25,600 and you times it by 4%. That gives you 1024. That means this negative asset, remember this is a negative asset. This is a negative asset. So your provision must become more because the total must be 1024. So you put the total there, 1024, and you subtract the 840, and then you've got 184. So for this year, provision for bad debts adjustment. Provision for bad debts adjustment. That means that you've got a nominal account there with the name provision for bad debts adjustment, which is an expense for the business. Because it's another 184 Rand that you are not going to receive from your debtors. Last of the year, provision for bad debts. I want you to concentrate on this. They gave you the 25,600, you're not going to do anything there. They gave you the 4%, you work out the 4%, and this equals to the 4%. This amount equals to 4% of 25,600. And then you put it there, you put the amount there, and you only add the difference between the two. You only add the difference between the two. And your expense for this year is only 184 Rand. It's not a big amount because we only adjust the provision. 2019, February 28, profit and loss account, your expense for this year is 184 Rand. This is your expense for this year.